Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. About 10:58 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the globe shows a 3.7 earthquake into the region of the Italy area, or just outside there, the Mediterranean region, it looks like. Someone was asking me about the Campi Flegrei field, the volcanic activity out there off the coast of Italy, near the region right here on the map. And I pulled up the last 24 hours, and I only seen about four earthquakes popping up here in this area of interest. Not looking at any type of swarming right now in this area, but as always, it's a region to watch, right, due to some interesting elevated volcanic activity here over the last couple months. But no seismic swarm, just a few earthquakes. I even checked out the most recent update here from the folks here that monitor this data, and their last updates were put out back in May. So really no major interest in terms of the earthquake activity. Even the official sites here show about four earthquakes in that region of interest in the upper 2 range, it looks like there for those for a couple of those earthquakes. But we'll continue to watch it. If a swarm does kick back up, then we'll do a little bit more in-depth study on that and see what's going on down there. Far as the rest of the globe goes here, I was going to start off here in Yellowstone because there is a few earthquakes up here at this super volcano in Wyoming. Not a huge earthquake swarm, but got a little bit kicking up here around the northwest corner of the park. That's going to be this Maple Creek station here, showing a handful of earthquakes, about I don't know, maybe 10 or so if you were to count all these little bitty spikes as well. That activity did show up pretty nicely here across the area, mainly across the northwestern corner here of Yellowstone National Park. And the USGS reported a couple of them, a fraction of the earthquakes that took place here this morning. That's better than not reporting anything at all, but we do have a lot more than just 3 earthquakes there on the seismographs. These are probably just the located ones that they can pinpoint and determine the exact depth, location, and magnitude here. But the largest so far looks to be a 2.1 in a little earthquake event here in the last few hours. But no major swarm, but we'll continue to watch that as well. It's a super volcano, obviously, and they can see some intense earthquake swarms on occasion. It's been a little while since we've seen a major one. Up into the Pacific Northwest here, most of this activity, if not all of it, looks like it's from yesterday. Over here across the Cascadia subduction zone, pretty quiet there at the surface levels. One earthquake into the Ferndale, well off the coast of Ferndale, 2.7 coming in early this morning. The tremor map here last night, let's see, where'd that go, right here, showed about 395 epicenters of tremor recorded yesterday. Today's events we'll check out a little bit later tonight. But it's been continuing here for well over a month in terms of the elevated tremor count. Started up here, let's see, let's go back to the last month. It was probably at the end of May is when we've seen things kick up here. And this is just the last 30 days right here, the search I'm doing. And that puts us at over 11,000 epicenters of tremor along the Cascadia, mainly around the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. But I notice now we're starting to get a little bit of clustering going on here around this area of Oregon, underneath this area, down into the subduction zone of the Cascadia. But as I mentioned here, not a whole lot of earthquake activity taking place there for now. The Bay Area of California, got a few earthquakes there from yesterday and today, 1.2 the latest. A little seismic event over here across the Nevada-California border near the Deep Springs area. A couple 2s stirring up here yesterday and today at the northern end of the Fish Lake Valley Fault. Did have something above the microquake level here today as well in Southern Cal, 3.0, near the Camarillo area. That is just off of the Highway 1 there. Beautiful drive along the coast. Looks like that's north of the Malibu Coast Fault. It's a pretty significant fault system here that runs up against this area. I believe this is a thrust fault here that is capable of some very large earthquakes. Right now, just a 3-pointer. Looks like we did have a little aftershock activity there in that region as well a couple minutes later with a 1.3. The rest of Southern California down here, Pretty typical across the San Jacinto Fault Zone. Over here across the Salton Sea area and the Brawley seismic zone. Got a handful of earthquakes over here today near Red Hill. This activity, again, is off of the Brawley seismic zone. Nothing big. A handful of smaller quakes. It looks like they all stirred up here roughly about the same time, about 2 to 3 in the morning here, for a couple ones stirring up near this area. So, as always, got to keep an eye on the southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault. A little separate swarming here near the Ocotillo area from yesterday, and a couple from today as well. So generally the movement across the west coast right now is somewhat elevated. So we'll continue to watch California here. Texas, Oklahoma, a little spotty out there today, aside from the typical earthquake field out here near the Pecos, Texas area. About 11 earthquakes out there in that region. A lot of oil fields out there. Goodness. Hawaii, see what we got going on out here, because we've been watching this region pretty closely with a lot of inflation going on and a recent earthquake swarm. Looks like it's toned down a little bit. Let's go over and check out the latest from the USGS map. Bells are off. We're recording. Good. All right, Kilauea Volcano still at a yellow and advisory. Goodness, how long is this going to continue? Let's check out the deformation data. Going up. Looks like we've gone up all night here. But as you can see on the past week here, not really matching that previous level seen there back in the end of June. Inching up there a little bit closer. We did have a little period of stationary and deflationary event with some magma movement below the surface there. I don't know if it was moving off somewhere else from the summit area or the East Rift Zone, but lost a little bit of inflation. Now we're coming back up here in terms of the summit area and the upper East Rift Zone, where the majority of the earthquake activity is occurring. Tilt meter back over here on this side, leveling out. This side went up as the summit area went down, so I'm thinking there was a little bit of magma displacement further off here into this area. Not a huge intrusion, just enough to make a little difference on the graphs that we were seeing there. But let's see what we got. A little activity stirring up here across the crater area as well. If we start seeing a little bit more further elevated activity here, then we could be looking at maybe an eruption here across the crater region. But it's hard to say right now. We're in a state of what if, and what to watch for. So let's check out the summit cams here real quick from the USGS. Looks like a little bit of moisture out there today. This is the current imagery at 8 o'clock local time there in Hawaii. I don't see anything elevated. Of course, when there's moisture in the air, condensation from the volcanic gases and whatnot, the heat escaping from this area is going to show up a little bit more prominent here in these images. But I don't see anything of any major difference here at the summit area for now. Further down to the southwest here, got 5.1. East of North Island, New Zealand. This one is just right on the plate boundary here. Fairly shallow earthquake, about 10 kilometers deep. Looks like they had a 4.8 and a 5.1 here within a couple hours of each other. Let's go over and check out the GeoNet servers real quick here. I'm staying inside today, folks. It's going to be 110, 115 tomorrow here in Northern California. So we'll get to weather here in just a little bit. But earthquake activity, see what we got. I don't think those that movement north of North Island was reported here in terms of being felt. There is a few earthquakes out there overnight and within the last couple hours. As New Zealand sits on a major plate boundary, a major subduction zone here on the east coast of North Island, extending down to the north of the South Island. And they're always getting earthquake activity. Always common to see 2s and 3s. But we got to watch this deeper activity because that's a good leading indicator of some strain there at the subduction zone levels of the Hikurangi subduction zone, which sits, again, just off here on the eastern coast of the North Island. But for now, nothing major going on there. But continue to watch it. Pretty quiet here across the Vanuatu and the Samoa area. Let me see what we got here today. Well, there was a 4.6 being listed here on the EMSC model. Nothing on the U. There it is. It's a little bit closer to the Solomon Islands in the Vanuatu, but this is our seismic gap zone, it looks like, here today. Far as the rest of the plate and adjacent plates here, typical clustering going on across the Philippines area once again. That pretty decent amount. Looks like they had a 5-pointer in there as well. Philippine Trench 5.0 coming in a few hours ago. 65 kilometers deep for that earthquake there in the Philippines Trench. Up along the Japan area, there's that deeper activity there from yesterday in the Izu Trench. A little bit of surface adjustment taking place further up off the coast, east coast of Japan, with a 4.7. That earthquake being reported here as well, just prior to the subduction zone, about 10 kilometers deep. And the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench here from yesterday, still waiting on this one. This one's well overdue, I feel, for producing a megaquake. Been building up steam for quite a while, and hey, man, it's one of many subduction zones out here that are definitely should be showing some signs here soon of some bigger quake movement. All right, the Atlantic Ocean, a couple earthquakes out here in the northern region, Middle America Trench and South America area. Clustering going on as always. It's almost always moving out there, always getting earthquakes. Similar to California, right? Always got some type of earthquake activity going on out here. All right, real quick glance at the space weather, and then we'll talk about Hurricane Beryl. Not a whole lot going on, as you can see here on the space weather charts. It does look like maybe there's a G1 class storm. Not for sure why that is. Let me find out. See what's up here. Maybe tomorrow night. A little bit of enhancement there for the auroras. Not really expecting much. Let me see exactly where that's coming from here. So this is going to be the map to look at right here. We'll click this and play. This is the sun. Looks like there was a couple low-grade CMEs that got blasted off here recently. A little bit of plasma coming our way. Really not expecting much here, though, that's for sure. But it does look like maybe a little glancing hit here. Earth in the green. I don't know. It's hard to say. But either way, it looks like they are forecasting a G1 class storm potentially tomorrow night. The sunspots out here are continuing to decline, fade away, and just fade off into the sunset, so to speak. Not a whole lot of complexity going on here with any of these sunspots, unfortunately. Yeah, to be honest, there's really not a whole lot there. So let's see what we got for the far side of the sun. Far side of the sun here. There's our 3 sunspots. Remember those 3 sunspots that were back over here on the western limb a week ago? Well, it looks like 3713, 3712 here have grown quite nicely. That is a day behind, so we should get a better look at these sunspots as they crest the eastern limb here in not quite a week. Here in a few days, we should get a little bit better perspective of these sunspots, and hopefully a little bit further uptick in space weather activity. But for now, we'll deal with what we're given out there, which is maybe a slight chance of a G1 storm there tomorrow. All right, let's check out Hurricane Beryl or Beryl. Take your pick. Either way, it's still a monster. Last time I checked here was a couple miles below the Category 5 hurricane, so it Category 5 level. So it has dropped down to a Category 4. I'll check that here in just a second, but goodness, what a beauty. What an absolutely stunning photogenic hurricane here. Yesterday, this time, we're kicking up at 160 mile per hour winds out here. Let's go check that out here real quick, see what we got from the National Hurricane Center on this hurricane. We're at 155 mile per hour sustained winds there, so just short of the Category 5 hurricane level by 2 miles per hour there. So we're at Category 4, moving off to the west-northwest at about 22 miles per hour. Hurricane warnings, big time, in effect across Jamaica and other islands out here. This is going to be a big deal here for Jamaica, as it's going to remain a very strong hurricane, and the path that this thing is going to be taking is a little on the scary side, because it puts it right over Jamaica. Literally right over Jamaica here. If you look at the model guidance, yesterday this was a little bit more northward in terms of this model guidance here, the track, the spaghetti models, which would have put that Jamaica at the south side of the hurricane. They call that the dirty side, because that's where all the major storm surge is and the strongest winds, and that's not the place to be if you're going to get, well, I'd rather not get hit by a hurricane, but if it happens, it's good to be on the north side, because right here, well, this one kind of shows more of a southward turn with this model. Let me go back over and check here. Yeah, this one's showing just a little bit south, but either way, almost a direct hit. Now, here's the cone of uncertainty in the white. So it could go maybe a little bit further north. It could go a little bit further south. That's why they put this cone of uncertainty in here. But Jamaica is right there in the middle line. It's going to take a hit regardless. Hopefully it's not on the south side there where the brunt of everything takes place. Either way, it's expected to remain a major hurricane still. 155 mile per hour. Sustained winds. It is expected to weaken gradually here as it heads towards the Mexico area, and then drastically weaken as it heads into the Gulf. And it looks like most of the models here are forecasting somewhat of a northward turn. I know most of these models here are starting to show a little bit more northerly turn here into the Texas area compared to previous models that showed it drifting off further into Mexico and then dissipating. But many of these models here definitely showing what looks like could be a turn towards the north. But it will be weaker. It should just be a tropical storm. Either way, that could be, that could spell some trouble out there, like along the Gulf Coast here of Texas. We'll continue to watch that. Let me pull up the windy map here, see what's going on with this system. I like to key up the wind gusts here because this is just absolutely beautiful. Right? Beautiful but deadly at the same time. So as we put this into motion here, it looks like let me see when the time frame was for this here real quick for Jamaica. 8 a.m. Wednesday morning, East Coast time here. Supposed to be just prior to Jamaica. So probably sometime in the day going to get hit with the brunt of it, because 8 p.m. Wednesday night puts the major hurricane a little bit further across this region. But yeah, that southeastern eye wall can be a big hit as well. So we'll have to watch that for sure. Let's go back here to the windy map. Look at that. That takes it right there into the Jamaica area, right over it, as most of the models are in agreement. That's the worst case scenario, I think, for those folks. GFS model. Yeah, GFS is pretty much in agreement as well, showing a direct hit. This other weather model here, the ICON, has more of a southward tilt, but a little southward movement. Either way, this is going to be a big deal, folks. No joke. Hopefully these guys are taking heed to the warnings out there, because it is coming. Got a short amount of time to prepare for this big, huge hurricane. And then after that, heads off towards Mexico. And You know, it's still got a little bit of strength going on there. Nothing big. But see, the ECMWF model shows it dissipating off over here. So it'll be interesting to see which one is right, which one is wrong. But yeah, for us here in California, we're underneath a red flag warning for some strong north wind out here. Very dry as well, and super duper hot. This is actually for next week, Tuesday. So we got all of these days here. We got the remainder of this week, all weekend until next Tuesday, and I think beyond too, that we have to deal with temperatures above 110 degrees consecutive days. 106. I don't even like looking at this, but I need to prepare. I need to know what's going on. Today, not so hot, right? 111, 109. But we got that dry northerly wind. Could start some fires out here. Not the day. Definitely not the week to be starting fires or even fireworks. I have a feeling that something bad's going to happen with all the firework activity here. Chico, it's outlawed in the city limits, but that doesn't stop people from lighting off fireworks. Tomorrow things really start to cook out here. We get hotter, 113, and then on Thursday looks like maybe a little bit, well, I can't say much cooler. It's still about 113, 115 in Colusa. Look at these temperatures. Reading 115. Friday is a hot one. So that's the 4th there. We're going to have super duper hot temperatures. This is a scary day right here for Friday. Look at that. 120 out here. We're going to be breaking some records. This is like Death Valley weather. I mean, technically, we kind of are a valley out here. Sacramento Valley, surrounded by mountains, got the downslope winds. It's actually a big Death Valley if you really think about it compared to the size of Death Valley. So all up and down the San Joaquin Valley, Sacramento, got a little bit of a delta breeze right here, but I guarantee you, with these hot temperatures and that moisture coming in, the cooler moisture, even though to drop the temperatures a little bit, it's going to make it feel humid as heck. But up here in the Sacramento Valley, oh man, that is just, whew, that's for Friday. Saturday here, the weekend, oh wow. I hope not. I hope this is wrong. I really do. But I've noticed these weather models have been trending hotter and hotter and hotter with each day that gets closer. 122 degrees. Yeah, we're going to have some major issues out here with power, I think. I better go get a couple more gas cans full just in case I have to run my generator for a while. So that's Saturday. It's just going to be a massive heat wave for an extended period. I could understand if this was just maybe 1 or 2 days, right? Yeah, 122 for Saturday and Sunday. Okay, we can deal with that. Then we cool back down to average, but nope. This is going to be an extended period of at least 10 days of 110 degrees or higher. This is not the feels-like temperature. Thankfully, well, it depends on if you're around rice fields like I am. Got to remember that sun's beating down on the rice fields where all that moisture is, evaporates a lot of it, puts it up into the air, and you get that even hotter feels-like temperature. But this map in general doesn't account for it. Either way, it's going to be hot. I think everyone can agree an air temperature of 120 degrees is darn right not right. Dew points out here pretty low, unless you're in the Bay Area. That's why I'm saying you got 111 degrees, you got some higher dew points, higher humidity. You can bring up that feels like temperature a lot more with that delta breeze. So sometimes I'm okay with keeping that delta breeze south of me. I don't want to say I can deal with the heat. It's hot, but it doesn't feel as sticky when you get that delta breeze coming in. Either way, hopefully we can survive this. That's one more of the hotter summers that I've seen in, I think, my entire life living out here. Looks like they added a 3.9 here off on the Pacific on this fracture zone out here. Mendocino fracture zone. It's been a while since I've seen any earthquake activity out there, but it does look like they reported one. It wasn't there earlier, was it? That would have popped out at me. I would have seen that. So not a big earthquake, but definitely a little bit of interesting movement out there. Seismograph stations there, pretty quiet across the board. Really no signs of any major earthquake activity out there for now. Hope everyone enjoys their Tuesday. I'm going to relax, and I guess I'm going to prep for some heat because it's going to be hot. It's already hot. It never cooled down last night. I think our low was 82. So running multiple ACs full blast. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And it's going to put a damper on the power grid out here, I think. I know they're shutting some power off here in certain areas, like around Paradise, to prevent fires. That's Pacific Gas and Electric here. They're shutting down some power. That sucks for those guys up there. One of the hottest days of the year and no power. That's why I'm saying generators are key. Even if you don't use it, say if you use it once every 5 years, it's good to have. It's a good investment. That way you're not sweltering in the heat up there. Paradise gets just as hot sometimes as the valley. And you got the dry wind. What they're doing is they're trying to prevent any catastrophic fires from starting due to maybe some down power lines and whatnot. It's a perfect day to start a fire. It's far as the fire ingredients go, very dry, very hot, very windy. All the ingredients out there for a big time fire. Far as the California fires right now, let's see what we got. Let's see here, out there in Colorado. I don't know why it put me out there. Oh goodness, we already got fires starting out here. There's still a pretty big one down here on the eastern side of the San Joaquin Valley, getting up to the Sierra Nevadas outside of Fresno. That's at 13,000 acres. They're getting a handle on it, but got some wind kicking up and some hot temperatures. Not going to help those folks out. Really nothing major around me right now, which is good. I hope, keeping positive thoughts on this, that we don't have any big fires start up here. And if any little ones do pop up, like I say, what's that? Why is a fire starting way up there? Out in the middle of nowhere land. How did a fire start? These are dirt roads, I'm sure. Mountain dirt roads. 8 acres, held on a ridge and boxed in with retardant per incident command. Either way, it just goes to show how quick things can take off here, man. Goodness, I appreciate all the help out there from the firefighters and keeping things at a minimal. Let's hope everything stays that way through these next 10 days. All right, I'm out of here, folks. Stay cool if you're out here in California. I'm going to go prep for some super duper heat and potential power outages. Have a good one.